welcome to the Lord of the Craft Report. I'm Folko and I'll be soloing it for this week. This week for the admin and GM team news. Ever has resigned from his position as GM. He pursues a real life and will subsequently become less active on LOTC. They grow up so fast. He left a list of duties that would need to be picked up, as well as a comprehensive list of suggestions for improvement. But never mind that. We do have something fun to tell you all about. The GMs decided this week to displace the Cloud Temple. A great event took place to move the player spawn to somewhere that would make every area of the great map of Anthos much more accessible. Talking about maps, Tysus released the much pleaded for Dynamap. Just like in Ocelon, you will be able to see the whole of the map with this new feature on the forums. But remember, don't metagame. This week in the SM team news, server moderators have been given TeamSpeak permissions to help keep the peace by way of banishment. Lawbreakers now have nowhere to hide from the SM team. Moving along to the AT and VAT news, there are 7 new additions to the inferior application team, 2 of which are humble news gremlins that help bring you this very report. Quavnir Cygnus, Vecrus, Cowman, Ducaster, and PP Peck, Twilight Druid, and Gold the Charming Panther have all been added to the team. Will they be able to compete with Kruz, who was the team member to complete the most applications this month? He reviewed 83 of the total 353 total applications of November. Once again, we had a 1-to-1 accept-deny rate, leaning more towards accepted with 183 total. That means 183 new players joined in November. Welcome aboard. As part of the liberation of magic last week, it was mentioned that creating a character that already knows magic is against the rules. However, that was rectified in that any character meeting lore requirements to know magic can roleplay it, so long as it is done so properly. For this reason, it is advised that you do not make a magical character unless you have previous experience with LOTC magic. The preference is that you learn it as anyone else would, and abide by the usual rate of progression. Viper cleaned up the old magic application subforum, as well as some tidying and adjusting some other aspects of the forums. My fellow Spartans finally get some proper news this week with their monthly report. We released that a total of 303 VAs were reviewed in November. Having 10 staff members made us assume that each VAT member would have done 30 VAs each, however that is far from the case. Valcor and myself, first and second most active team members this month, did a third of all villain applications posted each, leaving only a third to be done by the other 8 members of the team. Icely Freak X reviewed half of that last batch, leaving very little for the other 7 members to review. And to those of you who think that VAs are rarely accepted, the percentage accepted this month was over 57%. For media team news this week, after the release of the latest staff tonight, all we are waiting for is our good Gabriel to interview the well-known Shift native. If you have any questions that you would like answered, be it silly or professional, post them on the latest Staff Tonight post. Along with this, Arzoda has engaged the active media team in a side project with the event team. There is not much to be released as of yet, but know that they will have to do with the terrible and bone-aching northern leaders. In the ton of RP news that we have this week, Malinor has become a hot spot for monster sighting. Some of the reported beasts include a forest troll, a blob, a giant spider, and a deadly sludge monkey. Thyla Orman and Quavnir Cygnus have begun leading regular patrols through Malinor's forests in an attempt to keep the area safe. Crystals that carry resemblance to the Black Scourge blood crystals have appeared in front of Leniol. Investigations have found that they were created by the Cygnus clan by means of a distorted holy magic. What their purpose is remains to be discovered. The Druids have grown a massive birch tree in New Malinor. It is rumored that the purpose is for the gathering and education of mages. And for the 3rd time in less than 5 years, the Elven Princedom have declared war against Orin. Shocker. While the previous skirmishes have remained reasonably free of spilled blood, it seems Malinor will remain without peace for a considerable amount of time. However, developments upon the war efforts come shortly after the death of Emperor Sigmund Carrion with the ceasefire declared for the next year. The human nation has taken to mourning at the passing of their emperor. The Privy Council has elected Lord Marshal Heinrich van Roy as a regent ruler, and would have been crowned as emperor were it not for one last creed from Sigmund Carrion. Upon realizing his approaching fatality, he chose to abolish the title of emperor, stating that, quote, "there shall be no emperor after me," end quote. Continuing that, to rule as emperor is a lofty title befit only for a selected divine. The Imperium of Orin is also to be destroyed upon his death, and with one final display of penultimate pompousness, Sigmund Carrion declared that Heinrich take upon the name Heinrich van Roy, first of House Carrion. The funeral will be held later in the week for the last Emperor of Oran. While not granted the title of Emperor, Heinrich will be announced as King of Oran and its lesser titles. And in other news, Godfric, the first of House Carrion, is deposed for his relative inactivity and slothful nature. In his first speech, the new King of Oran vowed to rid the kingdom of the Scourge and its cult remnants. Such a threat did not go unnoticed by the Black Scourge, though. They made a sudden attack upon Abresti that found the survivors boarded up in the tavern. They did not need to wait long before the foolish heroism overcame the group, and they charged out to remove the Scourge and reclaim the city. Diedrich Carrion has been appointed Privy Seal, and Walter Stafford has been appointed Lord Marshal. Good luck to them both with their new jobs. The Orcish camp, better known as the Trog, was assaulted recently just outside of Gronkston by the Black Scourge. Not many of Orcish casualties were sustained, none. However, the camp now lies in an unwelcoming state of both fire and ice. A new Orcish clan, known as the Bolg clan, has sprung up. Growing rapidly in size and power, they hope to bring more RP and banditry to the Orcs. Seemingly random kidnapping by a group of human raiders sparked a rescue mission to save the Grand King. The search party of 3 eventually discovered him in Ard Karak, where they engaged in a ferocious brawl. Somehow, all 3 emerged victorious and removed the raiding party by force. Celebrations in Calathron ran long into the night. A small clan of forest dwarves have made themselves known in dwarven lands. The Mossbeards have already set to work restoring the forests of Erguon. The wall of ice in the north has been broken, perhaps in a fit of rage, or possibly by much darker intent. Cetharion has made the frozen lands accessible. Adventurers willing to risk their lives have already embarked towards uncertainty. All Anthos residents are advised not to provoke the Black Scourge, for pretty obvious reasons. In a possibly unrelated incident, the temple monks have been forced from their Cloud Temple by a rallying of our antagonists. They've taken shelter near King's Crossing and will continue their vital work from there. Whether the Cloud Temple can be saved, only time can tell. Lastly, an unexpected arrival came by boat this week. The merchant king, Sirio, arrived, refreshing the dreams of resurrecting Alras and bringing a new political power to the nation of Anthos. This week in community news, Alan proposed another potential change this week, this time taking aim at the forum status updates. The recurrence of trolling through this means has not gone unnoticed, and some of the staff want to take action removing it. If you want them gone, or if you love your daily LOTC statuses, make your opinion heard now before it is too late. The community surveys are now complete. Thanks to all those that participated without trolling. Your input is really valuable to the staff. There's plenty of raw data and pretty graphs. So go check out the posted results. And this has been the LOTC Weekly Report. Join us next week for the 4-month anniversary of the report.